shine. Welcome to Secrets Told in the Dark.
Welcome to Secrets Told in the Dark. I am Raphael, and alongside me is my wife, Sheena.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in. Raphael, today we have another story from Kayla. This story is just as powerful than her last story, Mirror.
If you have not listened to that story, go check it out. It is said, "We are only prisoners to a past we suppress. Free yourself from the secrets untold."
That is exactly what Kayla did. We all can take a lesson out of her book. Here is Trial and Tribulation.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God. I pressed my hand against the Bible and said with more conviction than I've ever had in my life, I do. Those two words carried the weight of everything I'd been through. The whispers, the stares, the judgment that filled that courtroom. None of it mattered, because I knew God was with me. I sat there while the defense painted a picture of me with words dipped in poison. She made me out to be a villain, a woman of the night, a Jezebel. Said I preyed on men. Said I used my beauty to manipulate, to destroy. And when I couldn't use Terrence anymore, I supposedly made up a story to ruin his life. But I knew the truth, and I was finally ready to tell it. Terrence, he was everything a woman could want on paper. Charming, handsome, gifted, a minister, a man who said he loved God. When we first met, he prayed with me, worshipped with me, talked about purpose and destiny. I didn't know much about God back then, but through him, I started to believe. For a while, I thought Terrence was God's promise to me. Turns out he was the lesson. It started small, words that cut a little too deep, jokes that weren't really jokes. He'd tell me I was too sensitive, too emotional. If I cried, I was dramatic. If I spoke up, I was disrespectful. And when I tried to fix things, he made me feel like I was the problem. And I believed him. Because when you love somebody, you start making excuses for their brokenness. You think if you just love them harder, they'll heal. But sometimes love isn't what heals them. It's what they use to hurt you. The first time he hit me, I remember staring at myself in the mirror, blood on my cheek, tears burning in my eyes, and this one question looping in my head. How did I get here? That day, we'd gone to a revival. Everything seemed fine until I saw him talking to a woman named Janice. The way they stood, the way they smiled at each other. I felt something deep inside me say, this ain't right. He told me I was imagining things. Said Janice was just an old friend from church. But that night, when his phone lit up beside the bed, I saw her name. I saw her message. And when I read their words, those I misused and I wish things were different, I felt something inside me break. I woke him up, demanded answers. He denied, deflected, then he slapped me. The sound echoed, and in that moment, I wasn't his woman anymore. I was a little girl again, watching my mother bleed after another man lost his temper. He told me it was my fault, said I pushed him, said I made him angry, and I believed that lie too. Because believing it meant I didn't have to face the truth that the man I loved, the man who preached about love, was capable of this. That night, I curled up on my side of the bed, shaking, praying for morning. And then he took what wasn't his to take. My body went still. My soul went silent. And I just let him. Because fighting meant another bruise. Another reason to blame myself. For years, I lived like that, walking on eggshells, smiling in public, dying in private. Every praise the Lord on Sunday felt like a lie. I took pictures of my bruises, recorded his words, saved his messages. I didn't even know why. Maybe some part of me was saving evidence for the day I'd finally be brave enough to leave. And that day came. It was after another argument, One of those nights that felt like deja vu. I told him I was done. Done praying for a relationship God wasn't in. Done listening to Terrence tell me the Lord was displeased with me while he ignored the bruises I was hiding under my clothes. He looked at me, shocked that I dared to talk back. He walked away that night, but I couldn't sleep. Something told me it wasn't over. Hours later, I woke up to his voice hovering over me. "Wake up," he said. I opened my eyes, confused. Then I felt it, cold metal pressed against the back of my head. "Tell me something that'll stop me from killing you right now." I wish I could tell you I begged for my life, but the truth is, I didn't care anymore. I was already dying, little by little, every day in that house. But then I thought about my mother, leaving her behind, and I whispered, "Lord, please don't let her find me like this." He didn't pull the trigger, but he did what he always did. He beat me. And when I woke up again, I was in a hospital bed, my mother praying beside me. That was the day I stopped being afraid. In the courtroom, Terrence sat there with that same smirk, certain he'd win, certain his charm would save him again. But this time I had proof. I had pictures, recordings, messages, and I had my voice. With every word I spoke, I felt chains breaking off me. Every time I said, "This is my truth," I took a piece of my power back. The jury didn't just hear my story. They felt it. They saw through the mask he'd worn for years. And when they found him guilty, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. Not because justice was served, but because I survived. God didn't save me from the fire. He met me in it. And now, I speak my truth not for revenge, but for release. For the women still praying in silence. For the ones who think God has forgotten them. He hasn't. Sometimes the courtroom becomes your altar. Sometimes the truth becomes your testimony. And sometimes survival is the victory. This is my truth. This is my trial and tribulation.
Powerful. That was Kayla sharing her story, Trial and Tribulation.
Every time she speaks, she reminds us that survival itself is ministry. If her story touched you tonight, share this episode with someone who needs to hear it.
Until next time, remember, the truth doesn't lose its power just because it's told in the dark. I am Raphael.
And I am Sheena. This is
Secrets Told in the Dark.
The dark.